Welcome, Bonnie Anderson, to the Sound Museum.
Thank you. Thanks, Leo. It's so nice to be here.
You met your now husband
Yes,
because when I last saw you, I don't think you're dating, but you've
probably.
you've kissed a few frogs along the way, and now you found your prince.
I love it. I love it. Oh, so Sam and we knew each other for a very long time. So I've known him actually since I was 15. 15. I met him at a gig. He came to one of my gigs. And we've kind of grew up in the same area. But he's just my number one human being on all levels. Just the way we are, he's my best friend. He's so supportive of, my work and the way we're just a good team. I love being a parent with him. I love sharing this life with him. He's just an awesome human.
Because he's a landscaper, is that right?
He's a landscaper. Yes. He
It's
doesn't he
good with
doesn't mind
him.
a bit of guitar as well, the old Sammy. So I think he's like a frustrated pop star. Maybe one day we'll create a band.
He proposed in Byron Bay, is that right? Were
Yes.
you expecting the proposal? And because when my partner Sean proposed to me on
Yes.
Christmas Day 2018, I
Oh,
was going through when he proposed on one knee and stuff.
yeah.
My mind was going like, oh my God, it's here the one. Is it too soon? Was that
Really?
going
I
through
love
you?
it.
Was that going through your mind as well?
No, I was just I was shocked because I didn't I look, I knew I wanted to marry him and I knew it was coming at some stage, but not at that point. It was such a funny little moment actually because he was very he's not a nervous kind of guy. Like he's very cool, calm, collected. He's just the most chill, easygoing guy. And I remember we were walking and he said, "Let's go and get some lunch." And we'd already eaten. So I was kind of like, that's weird. Anyway, he ran back to the car. He said that he forgot his phone, but he was getting the ring. And I was just wandering, looking at the ocean, and he kind of came up behind me and put his arm around me, was walking really slow. And I thought, what? And I looked at him, I said, why are we walking so slow? And then he kind of said, actually, I've got something to tell you. And I just started crying because I knew exactly what he was going to say. And I don't even think he got to ask me.
Yes.
It was just so exciting. But no, nothing like that ran into my mind. I couldn't believe how nervous he was. Like I felt his heart pounding out of his chest. But I think it's just, even he didn't realize that he would have been that nervous. He was like, why? What happens in that moment? It's a huge moment.
We should compare rings. So this is
Oh, oh,
yes.
I love yours. What's the stone?
It's like a diamond, darling.
Yeah, oh, it's a dime. It's like a special color though, right?
I don't know, it's just like a normal diamond. I've got no idea.
God, well, do you know what? In the it looked green.
Oh, it's not
Yeah.
green.
No, 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 no. It's just a diamond, darling.
It's the diamond, darling.
I
Um,
love it.
so you had a baby boy, you're a mum
Yes.
in
Yes.
December 22, Bobby Ray.
Yeah, little Bobs.
Why the name? Because you can we say used to date a guy with a C name called Ray. Is that
Oh,
right?
jeepers. I didn't even think of that actually. That's so funny. So I'll give you a little a rundown of the names. So my pop's name is Ray. So Ray Anderson. And then actually Sam came up with Bobby because we wanted Bobby for a girl or a boy. Either way, we were going to be Bobby. And I found out later down the track that my other grandfather, who's on my mum's side, Robert, his name's Robert. It's actually, Bobby is short for Robert. So it ended up being so special because I hadn't really put it together, but it was just meant to be. So Bobby, takes after Robert and then Ray after my other grandfather, and it's Bobby Ray. Very sweet.
Oh, and what kind of so he's what nearly two coming up to
He's not far
December.
off too. He's got a few months still to go. My goodness, he's just a roller coaster. I love him so much. He's just reminds me of me though. Like he looks like his dad and he's got my crazy wild personality.
Oh,
He's a ball of energy. He's hilarious. and he just keeps us on our toes. But he's just, oh gosh, I love it. I love being a mum so
That's good.
much.
Yeah. You and Sam had a wedding after Bobby was born. And
Yes,
the wedding was like in this vineyard in the Yarra Valley.
it was so
Look,
lovely.
heaps of fun, singing, music. You sang at the wedding, is that right?
I did. I wrote a song. It was pretty much a week before the wedding as well. I tried to write this song for Sam about a year before the wedding. I was just trying. I probably wrote a few of them, and I was like, oh, it just had to be right. And then all of a sudden, this song came together the week before the wedding, and it was the perfect song. And I really should record the song. I haven't even recorded it, but it's a good one.
I was going to say to you, is it going to be on the new album? Because maybe it should be.
Maybe it should be. I think it's a good wedding song, that's for sure. It's very personal to me, but I feel like people could interpret it the way they want as well.
So, with the wedding, and obviously you were together during the whole COVID time
Yeah, that
and
was
stuff,
wild.
which was crazy. You went on SAS Australia,
Yes.
and that I was watching that, and I was just like, oh my goodness,
Oh,
why are you
yeah.
doing this? Your anxiety was going through the roof.
Oh, I
You were there 7
was.
days, right?
Yeah, 7 days, and it's so weird because I was so ready for that. Obviously, I wasn't, but I thought mentally, I was like, you know what, I'm ready for this. This is what I need. Can't wait. I love the idea of it. And then I got there, and I was just a mess. And I never even thought that I don't think I've ever cried that much in my entire life than I did on that course. And it was honestly, you didn't notice that the cameras were around. You were just a ball of anxiety. The perfect way you just explained it, because it's just so intense, and it really brings out so much inside of you that probably needs to be brought out, but in terms of how I felt after it, I felt horrible, horrible, horrible. And then 6 months later, I actually looked back at that process, and I thought, you know what, that actually changed my life. It was such a crazy thing. It
Um,
was like the hardest thing at the time, but then once it was like I passed all the feelings and whatever I had to go through over those 6 months, it was actually the best thing that I could have ever done for myself.
did you feel afterwards a bit of weight off your shoulders or a bit of relief? You let some things go.
Yeah. Yeah, I do. I felt like I had a lot of relief. I don't know, maybe it was just like all of the emotions that I needed to let out. Maybe it was as simple as that. I just needed that time to let it out. I don't know. And I still will never really know. I just know that I can look back now and be so like I loved that experience now. At the time I absolutely hated it. But now I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm glad I did it.
A totally different experience was on The Masked Singer.
Yeah.
You were a bush ranger and
Yeah.
the costume. I mean, who decides on the costume and the clues? Because was a bush ranger that costume, did that mean something to you personally, or was
So,
it?
well, it did mean something to me. My dad loves Ned Kelly, and I grew up in the country, and it wasn't actually about that at the time, though. They just assigned, the different characters to different people. And yeah, surprisingly enough, it really was quite fitting to my life. And the clues, obviously, even sometimes I was shocked by the clues, but we spent a lot of hours and a lot of time really talking about our lives and just all the nitty gritty things that people may or may not know about. So it was very interesting and intricate, all of those clues. I love that show. That was just it was a really weird time. We were, in the middle of COVID, and there was just so much really wild stuff going on out in the outside world that show kind of was a nice way to bring a little bit of light and fun to our family homes while we're going through such a dark time.
I was watching it, and as soon as I heard you sing that lunch money
Oh
lyric track,
yes, I got
as
bills. That
soon as
one.
I heard the voice, I was like, that's Bonnie Anderson.
Well,
But
people
then
were
the
thinking I was Jess or either Bonnie. I think it was like a 50-50. Jess Malboy.
well, because Danny was on the damn panel. I thought, well, Danny should know Bonnie's voice.
I did think the same thing. Well, Fifi really, she was on to me. It was no Fifi, no, it was Jackie O,
Yes.
jeepers.
Yeah.
Jackie was on to me. She was like, it's Bonnie, and it's very hard. You just have to be the bushranger and let them say what they say. But yeah, wow, what fun that show is! So much fun.
Do you have a favorite performance from that show?
Well, I love Poker Face. I
Yeah.
love that, and I loved all the dancing that I had to do. Um, what was I think that was, and I Got Bills was the first performance,
Yeah.
and I think that was pretty cool. That was a
Yeah.
really cool one.
And also with you won the competition.
I did.
Were you surprised that you won the
Yeah, of course. I mean, come on. I remember, Kate Malahaki, it was her and she was the queen, and I was, the bush ranger, and it was hilarious just the difference between us and what we'd sung. And I was like the little pocket rocket, and she was just this beautiful, magnificent thing. And I thought she was going to take it home, and then when they yelled out the bush ranger, I love winning. I mean, winners are grinners.
because during that time you were doing Neighbours, and I have to admit, when I first found out you were doing Neighbours, I was living back in Auckland for a bit, and
Right.
this was 2018 when you started on Neighbours, and
Yes.
I read that you were going to be on Neighbours. I was like, what? Funny on Neighbours. I was like really
Yes.
surprised. So, how did that opportunity come about? And were you happy with the audition at the time to get
Mm.
Neighbours, or was it like a bit of a journey for you?
Oh, definitely a journey. I'd actually gone for the audition 3 times before I even got the role. I actually didn't audition for B Nilsson, who was my character. So
Hmm.
what happened was I auditioned a few times, I didn't get the parts, didn't get the part, and then they ended up creating B Nilsson, who was Jodie Gordon's sister. So I think that when they saw me, they sort of thought, oh, here's an opportunity. Jodie and Bonnie have some similarities. Let's create a character for her, which was really cool. They kind of molded a character to suit me, which was great.
And you got to work with some amazing legends of industry, Jackie Woodburn,
Mm.
Alan Fletcher.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, this is your first TV role, and learning from those legends, they
For
must have really
sure.
helped you with those early days.
I know it was such a huge thing in the beginning. And, you work there day in and day out, every single day. And I was there for 3.5 years. They became family to me. And thinking back, they were so graceful and helpful, and just teaching me how to be an actor. I mean, I'd never been an actor before. I'd always sung. It was all so new to me. I was absolutely so nervous when I started, and they were just so kind, and I loved learning. You get really thrown into the deep end with Neighbours because it is such a machine. It's like you either sink or swim in a situation like that. And having those people around me, and they were all so kind, it was so helpful. And I loved my experience on that show. It was so great.
And you got to sing on the show and release
Yes.
songs on Spotify and streaming services as
Yeah.
well. Neighbours is big in the UK. There's got a massive UK following. And
Yes.
ended, and you're back for the finale, and now it's back again.
I know.
I mean, I've been a massive Neighbours fan since day one, so I remember the old days. But
Yes,
I
totally.
mean, would you ever go back to Neighbours or explore other acting opportunities in the
Yeah,
future?
I never say never. I never say never with things like that. Even with Neighbours, I love my time on there. I would be so open to, doing something along the lines of music. Maybe B goes and sings at special events from time to time. I don't feel like yeah, I couldn't say no. Feel like I would love the opportunity to be a part of Neighbours forever. It's such a beautiful, it's a beautiful place to work, really. But acting in general, I definitely want to open my horizon, do a little bit more. But right now, I'm really focusing on music. I mean, this is what I'm doing. I feel like I am a mom, I'm a wife. I can only do so much. I feel like if you want to give 100% at something, you kind of just have to focus on the one thing for that point in time. So here I am, creating the music that I want to put out, and this is the beginning, and it's just very exciting what's to come. So yeah, bring on all the music.
Speaking of music, let's just go back a bit and just highlight some of your history, because I mean, you first appeared on the Justice Crew track, Gonna Make You Sweat,
Oh
in
yes.
2012. I love that one.
Come on, let's sweat, baby.
And of
Oh
course,
my goodness.
in
Really bringing me back in time here.
in November 2013, you released Raise the Bar.
You got to raise the bar.
You attended the Arias that year, and that was the first time we met. Do you remember that?
Yes, I do. I do.
Yeah.
And I was wearing the see-through skirt with the
Yes.
black. Yes, I remember that so well.
And then there was the Blackout, which went gold.
Can I get a blackout? Yeah.
Yes.
That was an
Yes.
awesome video. That was crazy. And
Yeah.
a song called Rodeo.
Rodeo. It's not my first time at the rodeo.
A bit of a country pop moment.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
And you were a bit ahead of your time, because now country pop is sort of huge.
Yeah, look, I wasn't super fond of that single at the time. I
Yeah.
feel like there was just so much confusion in terms of genres and who I was as an artist. Let's be, with Blackout, Raise the Bar, then you went to Rodeo, and then there was just so much flipping and flopping. And I feel like that's why I just sort of needed to take the time just to go, you know what? Let's just really understand myself as a whole, and work on what I need. I think there was a lot of people driving me as an artist, and I think I just really needed to take the time and go, hang on a minute, I've got to do what I want to do here. So that's what's really important with the genre. I think that you need to keep people engaged, but I think it was very confusing for people.
Yeah, I was going to say that, because it was almost like at the time where Sony Music didn't really know what lane to put you in. And
Yeah.
was it more sort of their issue, or was it?
Look, I think I was so young at the time. It was a combination. I was so young, and I don't think I was strong enough to sort of stand up to say what I wanted. And I think they were just sort of going, well, this is what I need you to do. And it was always sort of about chasing the last hit, or and I feel like I was always, almost doing that because I was so young. Like I was 15, I was writing songs, I was just signed. I was just learning, and that's what it's all about. It's just, learning, growing. And now that I can look back at all of that time, and those are the times I can talk about. And now I just feel so excited, because I really do have such a strong sense of the sound and how I want to be perceived in the music world, and what's to come is just it really is so true to what I believe in. It's like I've gone back to my roots, and it's very much very soulful, very storytelling, and it's commercial, but it's just got substance, it's got heart.
And you're doing it independently, because obviously being signed to a label, you would have probably seen and heard a lot behind the scenes and learnt a lot. What have you learnt from that time being signed to a label, and have taken through to now with your independent releases?
Well, I'll tell you one thing I can tell you that I've learned. They do a hell of a lot. It's a lot of work doing it independently. They do a lot of work. So it's been really challenging doing it on my own, but I love it because I love a challenge. I love being under pressure. I love making mistakes and learning from them. I mean, that's what this whole life is about. Let's keep it interesting. It's not always going to be perfect. It's not always going to be roses. I am always really grateful for my time with my labels. I've been with a couple, and I've learned a lot in that situation, but now I just wanted to do it on my own, just to be really proud, and really work up the courage to do it, because it does take a lot of courage. And yeah, it's just it's a great feeling.
You've come a long way since
Thanks.
AGT. that time winning AGT, you're just 12 years old. You won $250,000. That was a
Yeah,
lot of money back then. Did
I
you invest
know.
that wisely, or is it all sort of
Oh God, no, I don't. I mean, I don't even know where that is now. No, look, I did. I spent a lot of the funds on going overseas, on my career, gigs, shows, equipment, all of that stuff. I did, and my parents were very, helpful in that situation. But $250,000 is not a lot of money in this day and age, so it goes pretty quickly.
your EP that you released when you're 15 was not on
Yes.
streaming? Are we gonna
No.
are we gonna sort that out, or is it sort of left in the past?
Oh, I don't think it's like the craziest thing for me. I don't even know if I could actually ever let anyone hear it. There are some good songs, and there is actually one song out of that EP that I sing live even to this day, which is crazy. Crazy. It's called What Makes You Think. If people have been to my shows, they would have heard it. It's actually, to be honest, it's probably one of my favorite songs I've ever written. And I wrote it when I was 15.
So maybe re-record it for the new album, perhaps.
I am thinking, and I'm liking your ideas because there's a lot, and I think that with an album, it is a story, and I think that talking about that and having something that's from the past, like What Makes You Think, it still resonates with me today. And I think, the fact that I sing it live still, it's pretty special. So I mean, maybe it is going to be a part of the album.
Let's finish off with some quick fire questions.
Okay, let's do it.
Okay. In 2019, you were nominated for a Logie for Most Popular New Talent.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any Logies secrets that you can share? What happened on the night? Any sort of behind the
Oh,
scenes moments?
I was so boring that night. I was like, no, I didn't even go to the after party. I do my partying in my own my own surroundings, not in front of, in work situations. But you know what? That dress that I wore on that night was, I think it was like 23 kilos. It was so silly, but like I loved the dress, but it was so silly. I could hardly sit or anything. I think there's like the one thing that I've learned is comfort. Comfort is everything.
In 2016, you made your theatre debut in Godspell Reimagined.
Yeah.
I never saw that because I was living back in Auckland at the time. But what did you take away from that experience? And would you ever do any more theatre in the future?
I do love theatre. I absolutely love it. And I feel like that there will be a right time for me and a right theatre show. I think I'm just sort of waiting for the right time and the right one to come along.
You are one of the presenters on Channel 7's Melbourne Weekender show.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
What are your favourite places to go to in Melbourne?
Oh.
Your go-to
Oh.
sort of restaurants and bars and cafes.
Yeah. Well, there's a bar that I love called the Inez Bar, and it's on Chapel Street. Such a beautiful, moody vibe. And it's just like they have great food, great cocktails. Love that for just a girls' night. That's a really cool vibe. I love, going places with my boy. I love taking him to the Werribee Zoo is amazing. I love that place. And what else? I mean, you know what? I love a good night at like Crown. You go to Crown, you go to Nobu, something get a little bit bougie, and then do some karaoke. And holy moly.
Now, during lockdown, you teamed up with Anthony Clear on the Janet Jackson
Yes.
track Together Again. Now, that
Yeah.
cover has got over 10 million views to 10 million streams on Spotify alone.
Can't
Any,
believe that. We were so shocked. It was
I
just the best
know.
feeling.
Any plans to do more sort of duets and collaborations in the future?
Look, I actually do. I love doing that sort of stuff, especially with people that I love and have a beautiful relationship with. I have got another song coming out very soon. Like I'm talking about weeks, and it's a feature with a very good friend of mine. He's based in the States, and he's a DJ. And I had put out songs with him before, so keep an eye out. There's a feature song coming out very soon, beginning of September.
Wow, new music coming out that soon.
Yeah, I know. I'm not mucking around this year.
You asked your fans on Instagram the worst bad advice they received.
Yes.
I'll take that question back to you. What's the worst bad advice you have received?
I honestly, when I was asking that question, I was thinking, what would be mine? I've had so much, and I think
Because
the funny,
you've been in the industry, you've been signed to a label. I mean,
yeah,
just putting it out there.
yeah,
Sometimes labels they think they know what the best thing is, but really they don't.
yes.
And you must have had some bad advice, what songs to release, what outfits, what
Look, I
treatments
think
and
it does
stuff.
come back to, I posted a few photos, which was quite funny, and I thought, I'll just go back in time and things like very, very wrong outfits, and I always laugh at mum because she's probably been the one to put me in them because I was so young. I didn't, mum's put me in outfits, but absolutely bad advice when it comes to some songs that I put out. I used to think that when I did media training back in the day, it was very robotic, and I think that was really bad advice because they weren't allowing me to really truly be myself. So I always thought, now thank God I've overcome that and I ain't no robot anymore. So that would probably be the worst sort of advice, not allowing me, or not just trying to make me somebody else.
Yeah. Now it's your birthday, a special birthday in a few weeks.
No, I'm 30.
Ah, you don't sound old.
I
I
can't
am.
believe it. I mean, 30, apparently 30s are the best years of your life, right?
Well, I remember when I turned 30, I had a bit of a not really a meltdown. I just had a bit of a moment.
Okay.
So maybe a moment's come, but a good moment.
I feel
Are
like I've
you
had enough moments. So I'm like, please, God, no more.
how are you planning on celebrating your big birthday?
Well, next week we're going to Bali. So I haven't been to look, we haven't been to Bali for years and years and years. And Bobby's at an age where traveling is crazy because he's just a go, go, go. There's no stopping him. So I think like a 6-hour flight is a good way to be at the 18, 20-month age. You don't want to be flying to Europe. It's just
No.
it's just mentally a little draining doing that. So Bali it is.
Bonnie Anderson, the new single Bad Advice is out now on streaming. You can get it on iTunes, stream it heaps.
Thanks, Leo.
Get us in the charts. We can't have, I mean, it's so hard to try and get Aussie music in the charts these days. It's just
I know.
crazy.
Yeah.
How are you finding the whole streaming world and trying to sort of navigate that? I
Oh,
mean,
it is another world for me, especially sort of having that break and coming back now when it's a whole new evolved world. Streaming, so it's really hard to kind of navigate and understand, but I'm just so happy that the feedback I'm receiving is positive and people are enjoying the song. It's catchy, people are singing it, and that's all that matters to me. It's just, for me, it's about consistency. This is just the beginning, as I've said, and I just want to keep putting music out that I've created and have my supporters enjoy the music. That's what it's all about. Just feeling good, putting out good music, enjoying creating music that I actually love and getting it out there.
and there's heaps more coming up from Bonnie Anderson. Bonnie,
Yeah.
thank you so much for joining me on the Sound Museum.
Thank you so much. So fun.
It's
It's
been
so long.
so